Hey guys, welcome to Choke Points. In this video, we are going to talk about something very interesting. And this is going to be a real choke point. Actually, we are going to talk about something that has just happened in this month of December. All right. Now, why this video becomes very interesting? Interesting is because for decades, if you look into it, then global power basically was measured in what? Territory, armies, oil, trade routes, lots of other things, commodities and all that, right? Gold, silver, whatever you want to call, right? But the era is now ending. Uh, uh, that formula, I would say, that formula of gaining or attaining this global power is slowly and slowly, it's not working. And nowadays, as we emerge into the new world order, we're gonna see that power today is increasingly is gonna be decided by what? It's gonna be decided by who controls chips, tools, softwares, materials, and compute power, right? That is the hallmark of fourth industrial revolution. And and with all this being there, right? The most important thing will be that who can actually deny these things, access to these things, right? As we see, right, we just recently we've been seeing all kinds of trade wars where between US and China about H200 chips, 204 chips, all kinds of different types of AI compute chips and all that, right? So that is here. So what happened is that US has just formed a bloc. It's called Pax Silica. And this block is basically created or established to counter the BRICS. And I'll tell you, there are some other interesting things that you have to notice. Actually, when I'm done with this video, you're going to learn lots of things. One of those things is what exactly the Pax Silica is, then why it is formed, what are the members of this Pax Silica, then there are some important countries that are not even part of it. So why is that? When I'm done with it, you'll be surprised how lots of things are done in geopolitics without being said. Okay, and how countries abandon somebody somewhere, some other country like that, and they never say it, but they do that thing without even saying a word. Okay, so, with all this being said, let's get started. Let's talk about it. And please do like and subscribe. And let's get going. Okay. Now, first of all, let me share my screen because this is going to be interesting. And so, as you can see, this is the Department of State website. All right. This is not something I'm just curating out of thin air. All right. This is not being conjured anything. None of this is being conjured out of thin air. Okay. You see that thing? This is US Department of State website. And there's a full fledged article on this whole thing on the Department of State website. Okay. It is Pax Silica. What is Pax Silica? Pax Silica is the Department of State's flagship effort on AI and supply chain security, advancing new economic security concerns among allies and trusted partners. You have to understand these are the key words here. Trusted partners. Okay. If the 20th century ran on oil and all, 21st century runs on compute and minerals. Okay. That fed it. Okay. This historical declaration hails a new economic security consensus, ensuring aligned partners build the AI ecosystems of tomorrow, from energy and critical minerals to high end manufacturing and models. All right, so this is real, guys. I think the real trade war is coming. This is gonna be the fourth industrial revolution trade war. As we can see, if you remember, like the third industrial revolution and second industrial revolution mainly was all what? Oil, and before that it was all land, commodities like that, raw material, right? That's what British did. British basically stole the raw material from everywhere. And uh, then when it came to third industrial revolution was basically the oil. US basically took control of the oil along with G7, right? Now the fourth industrial revolution will be all about chips, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and because all this depend on nuclear reactor power, energy. So the third thing will be the hallmark or the backbone of the fourth industrial revolution will be what? nuclear reactors, the nuclear energy. Okay, nuclear energy meaning what it will be. It's not going to be the large reactor. It will be all small modular reactors. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the modular nuclear reactor, but that's going to be the another thing, right? Because Russians produce lots of uranium, and you will see DRC is there, Congo is there. They're all Africa. Some of these African countries they supply uranium too. So you will see probably that that if BRICS countries don't secure those uranium deposits and all that, then uh, probably these African countries may be sanctioned. As you can see, that there is a Western entry in there on the name of peace and all that. But sooner or later, what's going to happen is that a country that's not agreeing to the peace terms probably will be sanction. So all this is just the background that is being created to sanction them with for the uranium supplies and all that. Okay, so you got to think about that too. All right. So now let's get started and talk about the Pax Silica. Okay. So what is Pax Silica? First of all, well, Pax Silica is the basically it's a US led coordination block focused on silicon. Okay, let me share my screen. On silicon, semiconductors, critical minerals, and AI supply chains. Their motto is the securing the future global semiconductor supply chain. Okay, and it was launched in December 2025 amid AI compute shortages and supply chain weaponization. Now, somebody who started the chain weaponization, so uh, this was actually said, but the hard reality is that it has less to do with the supply chain weaponization, because supply chain weaponization started after 50% to 100% tariffs were imposed, unfair tariffs were imposed, let's just say that. But but that's not actually the problem is the national security threat. I have made a video on this thing. Actually, I have made a serious video on the national security strategy, why the semiconductor and all is a national security threat to the United States. Okay, it's not just the US. Actually, it is it's like it's a national security threat. It's for pretty much any country, and every country that's out there that is relying on heavy duty modern military equipments and all that. It is a national security threat. Okay, so it's not just US. It's a serious problem. Only thing is that US is recognizing this problem and they are working to sort this out. All right. So, and now here's another thing too. You have to understand that there is another block. That block is called BRICS block. The BRICS block basically is managing all the raw material, the rare earths. Then I mean, BRICS block has the highest number of rare earth deposits and all that, right? And China is there to for the processing and extraction and all too. So when they have all that, and China is already advancing into the chip manufacturing and all that, and India is working very fast on these things. In fact, India is way ahead of Russia in the chip manufacturing and all right now, in artificial intelligence. So in next, I would say in next 5 to 10 years, BRICS block will be on a whole another level as far as a fourth industrial revolution is concerned. I'm gonna make a video on fourth industrial revolution too. Okay, now now let's talk about who are the core members of this bloc. Okay, the core members are United States, Japan, South Korea, Netherlands, United Kingdom, Israel, Singapore, Australia, and the UAE. Now you have to understand the UAE is also a BRICS member too, full BRICS member. But the real question is the why UAE is part of this thing though. UAE is part of this thing because UAE wants to fund it. UAE has the money that they need. Okay, and UAE is part of it, and also Israel is part of it because I think that in the Middle East, actually, there is only one country that can work with Israel is United Arab Emirates. Okay, other than that, no other country would want to work with Israel. All right, now so you have to look at these members very carefully. Okay, let me start my pen real quick and then we will talk about it. So, and this is no there are a couple of things you have to understand, that this is not a military alliance of that sort. It's mainly a bloc to actually strictly secure the supply chain. Okay, US is out of that business of military alliance and all that. All right, US firepower is unmatched anyways. There is no point in babysitting other countries and their national security. It's only time for us to secure our own interest. That's about it. All right, now, so now let's look into this alliance. Okay, what exactly this bloc has. Okay, US, Japan, South Korea, Netherlands, United Kingdom, Israel, Singapore, Australia, and the UAE. Okay, and what each of these countries have to offer, and why this block, and what exactly is this is gonna do. This looks like to me is a, I mean, this is like a choke point in the making. Okay, now, so what are the choke points here if you look into it, right? So see, first of all, you have to understand the chip manufacturing. Now, chip manufacturing has different components. All right, now, and so any chip that is below 7 nanometers, okay, right now, South Korea and I would say ASML, they have built 2 nanometer chips. And then China is pretty close to making 2 nanometer chip. India has built 5 nanometer. They're still working on 2 nanometer chips. Okay. Now, so to below to any chip size that is below 7 nanometers, it requires EUV. Okay, EUV technology is called extreme ultraviolet lithography. Okay, so you have to have that tool, and that tool is not available in lots of countries. Okay, so that is used to basically lithography. Basically, you use that tool to design the circuit and all that, right? Now, extreme ultraviolet lithography machines basically are produced by who? ASML. Where is ASML? ASML is in Netherlands. 100% market monopoly on this thing. 100%. Think about it. All right. Now ASML's raw material depends on what critical components that come from where? That come from Japan, Germany, and the United States. Then you then also chip design. Now lithography is there. Then you have chip design depends on excuse me. Chip design depends on what? Electronic design automation software. What is called EDU. Okay, electronic design automation software. All right. Now, this electronic automation design software is dominated by three US companies. Now, three US companies are what? Cadence Design Systems. Then you have Siemens Electronic Design Automation, and you have Synopsys. Okay, these companies, they dominate this whole entire field. Now, and then comes what? Then you need the chemicals too. The chemicals for as a raw material on silicon wafers and all that, right? And that those chemicals are dominated by what? Japanese from Japan supplies all that. Okay, then high bandwidth memory chips. High bandwidth, you remember memory bandwidth you look into whenever you apply a RAM. What do you see? You look into the RAM of that, the bandwidth of that RAM. It is 5400 megahertz, it is 6400 megahertz, or whatever, right? You look at that. That's the bandwidth. The high bandwidth chips are manufactured by who's in? They're manufactured in South Korea. Okay, South Korean firms dominate that. Then raw materials such as lithium and rare earths are widespread basically. So problem is, right now the problem with this block is that they have to figure out how to actually process it and extract all that. So that's why alliance was created, because to establish a semiconductor fabrication plant, it takes like almost 5 to 7 years. Okay, 5 to 7 years, and it will cost almost 15 to 20 billion dollars per node. Okay, now the question really is that why US actually needed the block. Once again, one and simple answer is the national security. National security. Then second thing is that um inflation. Now you guys are like, "Well, how inflation?" See, inflation because whatever, see, TSMC was going to put a plant here, but what they simply denied it because they realized that uh, a a chip that can be designed for $1 in Taiwan, that can it will take them to it will they will have to spend $1.5 to make it here in the US. Now imagine that. Okay, and with inflation and all, this is the 2 3 year old data I'm talking about. All right, right now it's probably past $2 or $3 almost. So that means that uh, so US, for US to really manufacture anything locally, it's a big no no. Why? Because then their military hardware, all those equipments gonna be will be very expensive to make, right? So the number one reason, national security. They want trusted partners that don't pose any threat to the US national security. Okay. And second thing is that they're looking for for a cheap manufacturing where they don't have too much cost involved into it. So if, let's say, if this whole thing goes into United Arab Emirates for manufacturing and all that, then also it will be kind of cheaper. Okay, there are other countries involved in it too, so they can do all that work. So that's why you needed block, so at least you can share the load. Okay, so block was needed. Now let's look into the how each and every country that's there, what is their importance here. Okay, this is very important part. Now, look at this. United States chip design. This is the choke point. They control electronic design, automation, software, cloud compute, capital markets, and all that. Right? Japan, semiconductor materials, photoresists, then wafers, precision tooling. Then South Korea is high bandwidth memory, high volume fabrication. See, Japan comes from the a day when Japan used to manufacture 25 to 30 nanometer chips. All right, and after that, Japan's semiconductor manufacturing and its research, it fell through somehow. Okay, and after that they didn't make much progress, but they still have the tools and all to do the job. Okay, then Netherlands 100% monopoly. Now look at the United Kingdom. ARM chip architecture comes from United Kingdom. Okay, standard governance. Israel, advanced artificial intelligence, cyber security, defense R&D. Okay, Singapore, logistics coordination in over there in the South China Sea, in the Pacific. Arbitration, trusted routing. Singapore also has very good semiconductor industry as well. So for processing and extraction, I think Singapore. Then Australia is there. Australia we can provide the raw material and all that. Then United Arab Emirates can provide capital, energy, data center hosting, and all that. So they can provide also. Every country that is part of this group has its own interests, and most of these countries are also they don't want to rely on China 100%. So that's why they are involved in it. All right, now, and then then some of these countries probably are there for what do I call it, how do you call it, for head count too. Like for example, Israel, United Arab Emirates, they're there for head count primarily, and Singapore also. Singapore, head count. So Israel, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, head count. All right. Now, otherwise, think about it. Otherwise, uh, why would you want to involve what Israel has to contribute in the supply chain and all that? But so is the what Israel contribute, I think, is the mainly the logistics part of it. That when you manufacture and all that, then you can directly grab things from Europe and all that, come to Israel, whatever, then supply it wherever you want to do that, right? But that's the whole thing. But I still think that Israel, Singapore, and United Arab Emirates basically are the head counts. Now, the question is that how this actually counters the BRICS, or can it? See, it whether it can counter BRICS or not, that's one thing. But there is something that is there now. Okay, so BRICS will have to think about it too. And so if you look into it, then BRICS right now, BRICS has 5 countries, and out of mainly 10 full members, right? So out of those 10 full members, United Arab Emirates was the one that has joined that bloc, but it hasn't left BRICS. All right. Now, BRICS, what BRICS is doing is The BRICS has raw material, rare earths, energy, population, and they have low cost manufacturing too. Right now, India has successfully manufactured 5 nanometer chips, and all China has already successfully manufactured 2 nanometer chips. Then you have Russians have military technology, and all China has technology now. Now India has technologies and all that, right? So all these countries, they are building their own ecosystem for all this. India has completely pledged that they're working to build the whole entire ecosystem for this whole entire thing. So the block was needed. Now, if see in the past, on my Spotify and all that, I made these videos about how BRICS commodity control can actually create a massive choke point for the West overall. So you have to counter all that. And that's exactly what Pax Silica is doing, basically, to counter what BRICS can do. So this is why you need a multipolar world, so that there is no monopoly of anything, whether it is BRICS, whether it is Pax Silica, whether it is CO, nothing. All these blocks should be uh, they should all be used against each other as a hedge. Okay, so that tomorrow China doesn't say that, hey, okay, now we're gonna have a chip yuan. Okay, we're gonna have digital yuan as a reserve currency. Why? Because we have chip dominance all over the place, right? That type of thing just shouldn't happen. Like petrodollar came out of nowhere, right? Petrodollar came out because other countries were just too weak to oppose it. Otherwise, why would there be a petrodollar, right? So that's why you need Pax Silica to counter BRICS, and you need BRICS to counter Pax Silica. So now let's talk about this. There's one important thing. There is one very important thing that I want to bring it up. Can you guys guess? I named the countries in the beginning. Okay, let me see. One second. I'll tell you again. What are the countries? US, Japan, South Korea, Netherlands, okay, Netherlands, United Kingdom, Israel, Singapore, Australia, the United Arab Emirates. Do you see something here? Something is missing from here. I will let you guess. I mean, if you cannot, then I'll tell you. But before that, please do like and subscribe. All right. So I guess some of you probably may have not, but I think you couldn't guess. Something is missing, and I'm gonna tell you what that is. You notice that Taiwan is missing from this whole entire thing. Why would US create Pax Silica without Taiwan? Even though they have pledged to protect Taiwan and this and that, all that mumbo jumbo they talk about. But when it comes to Pax Silica, the most important thing for which Taiwan is known for, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, 100% market. I'll say 98% or something like that. South Korea is second. Actually, 75%. Sorry, 75%, 25% in South Korea. Okay, that's what it is. Samsung, basically. TSMC is there, then there is Samsung. All right. So here's the interesting thing, right? Taiwan is not there in it. Why is that? Taiwan is not there for many reasons. One of the reasons is that US does not want to trigger immediate escalation with China. Why? Because they do not want to make this trade wars much worse. Even though the posture is that yes, we will do this, we will do that. If China attacks Taiwan, invades Taiwan, we will get involved and blah blah blah, all that thing. But you see, they don't even have the guts to actually involve Taiwan into Pax Silica. Because involving Taiwan as a country in Pax Silica, meaning that you are recognizing Taiwan as a separate country away apart from China, and China will have problem with that. Think about it. All right. Then and the other thing is that since US is not in that position right now, why what is compelling US to not involve Taiwan? What is such a weakness? And I made a video on that when I said that national security. The problem, loss of national security related stuff, is not ever published outside. Okay, they never say it, they just hush 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 and we go quiet on it. All right, and because of that they go quiet on all that thing. So what's happening is that uh reality is that I think that all these US military hardware manufacturers and all lots of critical hardwares are not being made right now, simply because they don't want to rely on Chinese hardware, Chinese chips. So since they don't rely on all that, so what's happening is that that's creating shortage of raw material. So they don't want to anger China to lose whatever raw material China is right now sending this way. Okay, that's why. Now, so US is basically buying time. Okay, so they don't want to create another crisis of the sort and create problems and get involved into trade war and all that mumbo jumbo. Now, other Pax Silica's another goal is to eliminate Taiwan as a single point of failure. Okay, because US also knows that if China invades Taiwan, or let's say China simply gets hold of Taiwan, because now you have to understand that Taiwan's internal politics. You have to understand the Taiwan's internal politics. Taiwan's internal politics is that Taiwan's current ruling government, the opposition party of of the ruling government actually in Taiwan, it's pro China. So if China supports that party and that party wins the election, then guess what? China will automatically have control of Taiwan without even firing a single shot. And that has been Chinese attempt all along, basically, to uh, take over Taiwan. Taiwan is not about semiconductor at this point, all right? I will talk about that in detail someday, okay? But Taiwan is not about just semiconductor. That time is long gone, okay? Taiwan is all about the supply chain, the maritime security. That's what Taiwan is all about at this point, okay? So, and then other reasoning is this, that Taiwan's birth rate is declining and it has dropped below the point of return. Okay, so and population is aging really fast, meaning that in next 10 years Taiwan may not even be in the position to manufacture anything. All right, so that's another concern. In fact, that's the concern for pretty much most of the West and any other country where the capitalist market or capitalist system has been followed. All right, simply that the Taiwan's population is there, so Taiwan's productivity is gonna decline. That's the whole point. So if even whether China takes over Taiwan or not, whatever happens to that, but at the end of the day, if not if actually whenever this happens, then you cannot take that kind of risk. You have to have a backup plan, and that's what the Pax Silica is all about. Okay, now you see how Taiwan is excluded without saying any word on the face. They're like, okay, we're gonna do all this. We will support Taiwan and this and that, but Taiwan is just another Ukraine type system. All right. So I hope you guys learned something new, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like and subscribe, share, whatever. Okay. I'll talk to you guys in another video. Take care.